What the fuck am I even doing? Hello everyone, it's your girl Ego Dram. Yes, a bit toned down. I got the paint clothes on today, and this is my second attempt at filming a painting tutorial video. And yes, I know my hair doesn't look great today. That's partly why I'm wearing a cloth. I have been tinkering with a different layered mixed media painting style. I'm not sure what to call, if anyone else has ever done it before, but I'm actually, for the most part, pretty pleased with the results. And I wanted to share my process with you today. You can learn a variety of different methods and techniques and approaches to drawing, painting, sculpting, music, whatever realm of the arts that you choose to engage and create with. But your creative process at the end of the day is really and truly your own. It doesn't hurt to learn about how other people do things if it can improve your own process. And today I'm going to show you how I make something like this. Bet you can't guess which human organ that is. These are mushrooms. These are actually, they're not the fun kind, but they are good in soup. So without further ado, let's get to work. So we're just doing these on these simple little canvas panels that you can get just about anywhere. Walmart, Joann Fabrics, Amazon, although I don't support Amazon anymore. And also spray paint for the first base layer. Nice matte finish, nice solid even finish, and I prefer the camouflage variety in particular because it creates a nice, smooth, opaque, it doesn't shine back at you. Just a great surface to draw on. And yes, I did say draw, as in we're going to be drawing over this base layer with China marker, which is relatively inexpensive, easy to come by. I have no idea why it's called China marker, and I'm too lazy to look it up. Here I am at my desk, just taking the black marker first and creating light lines just to give the general idea. I'm not pressing down very hard because if I make a mistake, it's almost impossible to correct with China marker. Hopefully you can make out what I've sketched out is the rough idea of 3 little origami cranes for the main focus of the painting, or the first layer image of the painting, if you will. Now I am going to start drawing in the harder, darker lines. These dark lines are going to be a boundary or a border that are going to get painted around in the next layer. So they can be relatively thick and forgiving in certain places, because some of them are going to get painted over anyway. And the reason why I am starting this piece and the next layers with the black China marker instead of the white China marker is because you start with the boundary lines and the shadow areas first and then the white, because if you try to do the white before the black, they blend over each other not very well. They look muddy and gross, and well, this is just easier for me to do it. Although I have yet to try this with colored China markers. You know, maybe I should try that next time. And this is the part of the video where my painting and drawing professors from art school are probably going to be slapping themselves silly hearing me say this. I don't do terribly well with artistic terms. Light and shadow is basically what I'm doing here. The black lines is where the boundary lines are and the shadows are, and as you can see with the white China marker, I'm going to where the light touches the surface of these origami cranes, as you can see. Now, I'm not using so much white and black that you can't see the olive drab green surface. I'm just basically using the white China marker to give suggestions of where everything is. So now that we have fleshed out light and shadow on the surface of these origami paper cranes, it's time to get started on the second layer of this layered painting. So for this layer, I'm going to try to use up some of this phthalo blue acrylic paint that I had mixed up and kept from a previous much larger project with a touch of plain old liquid white acrylic paint that I got at Walmart. It's generally been my experience that the softer and finer the bristles of the brush you're using, the smoother the surface of the paint that you're applying. The reason why when I do paint with blue paint I use phthalo blue is because it's such a nice, rich, and vibrant blue, but because it's so rich, sometimes adding a small amount of white paint to it helps that vibrancy pop out just a little bit more, and you can really see the splendor of this color. While under normal circumstances, acrylic paint is relatively fast drying, it's been very rainy and humid where I live for the previous couple of days, so I actually had to wait until the next day, the following day, for the layer of phthalo blue paint to dry before I could move on to the next step of the painting process. And what would that next step be? Well, that would be drawing a second image sort of behind the origami cranes here that I'm also going to be painting a border around. So there's going to be the cranes floating in front of another object. Although, whatever shall I decide? What'll it be? A skull? An organ? A mushroom? Yeah, let's go with a mushroom. I like mushrooms. Mushrooms are interesting things. They grow out of places where other things die. When I was a kid, I kind of became a little bit fixated with them. Thankfully, I wasn't stupid enough to go picking them and eating them. But mushrooms and fungi in general are actually pretty fascinating organisms. So I have decided to do a rendition of a type of mushroom called the shaggy ink cap. You should go Google image search them sometime. They're freaky looking and supposedly edible. Never tried one. They look metal as fuck, though. And behold, spooky looking creepy mushrooms as your secondary image. And maybe, on second thought, this wasn't the best choice to put behind the already busy origami cranes, but now there's no undoing it now, so I may as well continue to work with it. And now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a third layer using these two neutral-y, pukey colors. I hate beige, I really and truly do, but since a lot of my regular artwork includes a lot of military colors and imagery, that's what I tend to use. And as I've also mentioned previously, I'm a big fan of repurposing repurposable items like pasta sauce jars, even the lids, when I need to, say, to use for pallets or mixing or storage containers because they're cheap, they're readily available. Basically, why spend extra money if I don't absolutely have to get more or less the same result? So here we go. We have khaki and what's called territorial beige together. Now let's get this on with. This acrylic paint that you can get at Joann Fabrics or Walmart or Target is technically a craft paint, but it's still acrylic based, so it still works with what I have. It's kind of thin, so you have to do it in multiple layers sometimes, but it gets the job done. And also notice, most importantly, I am going up against the boundary of not only just the cranes, but the mushrooms now as well. Now for these paintings, I am not going all the way to the absolute edge for a complete border. I'm kind of doing something different. Hey, remember how I just said that this general store acrylic craft paint is kind of thin and you have to layer it? That's kind of sort of what I'm doing. And I'm also intermittently blending the two different colors on the surface of the canvas itself, which I can already envision my painting professor smacking himself across the face as he's probably watching me doing this because he explicitly told me never to do that. But art school was also a colossal waste of money, so here I am doing whatever the fuck I want anyway. And once this last layer is completely dry and I've signed it, I'm going to spray lacquer it with spray lacquer I bought at Home Depot because I can't afford varnish. I mean, I guess I could have done a lot worse. It looks a little bit busy, in my opinion. And the blue seems a bit too rich for you to really comprehend the details and in the mushrooms and whatnot, but it was more to show you the process than it was to create an appealing aesthetic, so to speak. So when I said at the beginning, what the fuck am I even doing? Not just to be brash and catch people's attention by saying fuck, but because this whole series of paintings I've been working on, I've just been titling them after what I happen to be doing roughly at that moment where I complete the paintings, such as listening to Blind Dweller's documentary on Francis Bacon while eating a muffin, blasting KMFDM and wishing I knew how to dance, drinking a cab sav while listening to Repzilla talk shit about terrible people, and filming and botching a YouTube tutorial video. Because as I said, this is my second attempt at filming this video, and I just kept losing the footage over and over and over and over again. But hopefully it'll work this time on my phone. Not the best way to make YouTube content, but hey, you work with what you got sometimes. I am hoping to hear back about that grant application within the next couple of weeks. I believe the beginning of September. All right, folks, I hope you found today's tutorial at least somewhat helpful. Feel free to have fun experimenting on your own. I hope you've gotten something good and useful out of this video. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Be good to each other. Now go watch Mutahar or something. Bye-bye.